Run us through some of the sense you're making of market activity at the moment. We know that this is a market that's eagerly anticipating financial results coming to the fore.
Yes, we've been plateauing, I think, for about 4 to 6 weeks. We're very close to our 2010 highs. I think we're about 1% off it. I think that the catalyst for the next move, which I expect to be higher, will be confirmation of results at the half-year mark, especially from the banks. I'm expecting the trajectory to be maintained, the trajectory as we saw in the first quarter. I expect the outliers to be Equity Bank, Co-op, and CFC banks. I think we're in this little air pocket for now. We remain the best performing stock market in Africa, and I think the next boost higher comes off these half-year results, which are very keenly anticipated.
Well, in the interim, we've got quite a few companies making some news. Earlier on the show, Terry Ann had highlighted Centum Investments having announced that it expects to increase its assets under management, and she highlighted the fact that what's interesting in this particular case is the fact that it is looking at investing in greenfield operations. So basically making a greenfield investments here. It is a new strategy. Market reaction to that?
Well, James Moria, who came and spoke at my business club some time ago and outlined his strategy, has really turned this company around. Investors are beginning to wake up to what's going on here. I really like the way they've re-engineered the business. They've taken what I consider excellent risk-adjusted positions. They've upsized their real estate exposure, for example, in Entebbe, in Nairobi, and in Juba in southern Sudan. And I think this share price will continue to exhibit strong muscularity going forward. I think they're on plan and they've got a very, very interesting business plan going forward. And I think investors should wake up to what's going on here.
Well, let's look at the war chest that they're set to deploy here, Aly Khan. I mean, do they have the balance sheet at hand to actually go down this route, or are we expected to see some raising of finance coming to the fore here? I mean, last year, Centum was saying that it was eyeing issuing a 2 billion shilling bond in the first quarter of this year.
Well, absolutely. The balance sheet is relatively unleveraged. I think the borrowings are actually nil. Pretty much, and so there's plenty of room to play with, I think, with that balance sheet. I fully expect them to come to the market. I think the timing has actually worked out in their favor. You know, last year a lot of these corporates were having to pay a premium to come to the market. We've had an absolute collapse in short-term rates. T-bills are below 3%. So I think their timing is right, and the absolute cost of funds will probably be a lot lower than it would have been last year. So I think, you know, in that sense, they've actually timed it very, very well. So I do expect them to come back. I think they'll come and put some debt on, actually.
So where traditionally investors have been wary of the risks associated with pouring money and funds into the continent, I mean, what does this now reflect of the shifts that are happening in terms of where investors are willing to put money right now?
I think we're at a tipping point. I think the World Cup might well have tipped it, actually. And I think we're seeing investors finally taking off their sort of Africa spectacles, the Bob Geldof, the old legacy spectacles, and looking at it for what it is. And I think you're going to see a lot more appetite for African risk. And this is another classic example of it. You know, who would have thought buying 100 acres in Juba would have been on the radar screen? But, you know, I think a lot of people are realizing that our real estate markets have been rock solid. They've outperformed. And that's what's attracting people.
In the meantime, very quickly before you go, I mean, we've had Athi River Mining having set aside 12.5 billion shillings for its expansion program. This is a company that we spoke about when you were here last week, and you're certainly very optimistic about the route that this company is on at the moment. Market reaction, or anticipated market reaction, you expect to see this afternoon to that news?
I think it's very positive. We're at all-time highs on this share. They've taken an excellent risk-adjusted bet on the cement sector. And one thing you can say about Athi River Mining is there is zero slippage on execution. It's a very rare thing, especially in Africa, but it is extraordinary. I really like this share, and I think investors will continue to chase it higher.